everybody, my name is Carla and I am a regulated international student immigration advisor at NAIT. Thanks for joining me for this video where we will discuss how to apply to extend your study permit. In addition to this video, you can read about the process to apply to extend your study permit on our website at nait.ca/immigration. You can also always find the most up-to-date immigration information on the website for Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, or IRCC. If you'd like to turn on subtitles while watching this video, you can do so by clicking the CC button at the bottom right corner. However, please do not leave any comments below the video as they will not be monitored. And with that, let's get started. In this video, we will review who needs to apply to extend their study permit. Next, we'll determine when you should apply to extend your study permit. We'll chat about how to submit your application, the process and the documents needed. And finally, we'll look at what happens after you've applied to extend your study permit. For each of these topics, you can see the corresponding slide numbers on the screen, and you are welcome to skip around within this video to find the information that you are looking for. The first question we need to consider when talking about extending our study permit is who needs to do this? And the answer is everyone who is not done studying. That is, your study permit must be valid for the entire duration of your program. For example, if your study permit will expire on April 20th and you won't finish your program until April 21st, you must apply to extend it because your study permit must be valid for the entire duration for all the days of your program. The next question that comes up is, if you need to apply to extend your study permit, when should you do so? Well, you should apply to extend your study permit about 3 months before that expiry date. And about 3 months is not an exact date. It is simply a safe zone in which you can apply to extend your study permit. For example, if your study permit expires July 31st, we can count backwards 3 months, May, June, July. And we can see that in this example, we should apply to extend our study permit at the start of May. If you apply to extend your study permit too early, there is a risk that Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, or IRCC, may refuse it outright and tell you to apply again closer to the expiry date. So 3 months is the safe zone to submit that application. How about the deadline or the last day to apply to extend your study permit? Well, you must apply to extend your study permit before your current one expires. That is the deadline. We do not recommend you wait that long. 3 months before it expires is the best, but the absolute last date is that expiry date found on your study permit. When you apply to extend your study permit, there are 4 main steps. Number 1, you will have to answer an online eligibility questionnaire. The way you answer this questionnaire determines what documents you will have to submit in your application. So after answering the questionnaire, step number 2 is to review the document checklist and gather all the required documents. Step number 3 is to download and complete the IRCC application form called the IMM 5709 form. Lastly, you will need to upload all of your documents to the application, pay the necessary application fees, and submit the application online, all before your current study permit expires. When you are ready to start the online application, you can do so by searching for My GC Key IRCC to get started. You'll notice that the web address that comes up from that search is a www.canada.ca address, which indicates it is the official IRCC website. The Canada.ca online account is where you can start your application. It's where you'll submit and pay for the application, get messages related to the application, and check the status of your application. To get started, you will need to sign in to your IRCC account either through the GC Key or through a sign-in partner you can choose. If you have never created an account on the IRCC website, you can start by registering for an account. Once you are in your IRCC account, you can start your application. And you can start the application by clicking Apply to Come to Canada on the main screen. And then you will choose Visitor Visa, Study and/or Work Permit to start the eligibility questionnaire. The eligibility questionnaire asks a series of questions about you, your family, your plans in Canada, and your current status in Canada. On the screen, we can see how this questionnaire starts. It asks, what would you like to do in Canada? Using the drop-down menu, you can select the activity that fits with your situation. In this case, we want to study. You will need to go through the eligibility questionnaire question by question until the system has enough information about you and your situation to create your study permit extension application. As you answer the eligibility questionnaire, make sure you click on the little question mark icons to read more information about the question and what IRCC is looking for. In addition, some of the questions have hyperlinks so that you can click on the hyperlink to receive the definition of the word, so you can have a better understanding of what they are asking for and make sure you are answering the questions correctly for your situation. You can find more information about logging into your IRCC account and the eligibility questionnaire on our website at nait.ca/immigration. Once on this page, you can click Study Permit on the left side of the screen. Under this tab, you can find lots of information about study permits. For information about how to extend your study permit, you will need to click the tab, How do I renew a study permit? And from here, you can find the study permit extension guide. This guide goes through the process to apply to extend your study permit, and it gives you some nice tips and tricks for doing so. So make sure you check it out. The way you answer the eligibility questionnaire will determine what documents you must include in your application. This means that your document checklist might look a little bit different than your friends, but we can see here that this student would need to complete an application form IMM 5709, would have to complete a family information form, upload pages of their passport, a letter of acceptance, proof of a means of financial support, and a digital photo. You can see under the optional documents section a document called Schedule 1 Application for Temporary Resident Visa made outside of Canada. This form cannot be used when you are in Canada, so you can simply ignore it. However, this student does have the option to upload a letter of explanation in the client information section. We can see that this document is optional and it may be important for some students. The checklist also shows you how much your application will cost. For each of these requirements, I recommend that you click the little question mark icon next to the requirement to get more information about what documents, what requirements IRCC wants you to upload. So now let's take a quick look at what each of these requirements are about. First, we have our passport. In this section, you must scan a copy of all the pages of your passport that are not completely blank. That is, if the page has a stamp, a visa, a picture, or writing on it, make sure you include it. You will need to scan all of these pages into one PDF document and upload it to your application. It is important to note that your study permit cannot be extended past the date of your passport. So make sure you extend or renew your passport nice and early if necessary. The next required document is the Letter of Acceptance, or LOA. And if you will be starting a new program and you have a new and valid LOA, you can upload it here to the application. However, you must double check if your LOA has already expired. If it has, you cannot use it to apply to extend your study permit, and you should not upload it to the application. In this case, if your letter of acceptance or LOA has expired, you will have to request a study permit extension letter from NAIT to replace the LOA in your application. You can request your study permit extension letter through nait.ca/help by choosing the immigration category. It will take about 5 to 7 business days for the study permit extension letter to be emailed to you. You will also have to upload proof of means of financial support. Now, because everyone's financial situation is different, it means that the documents you include in this section will be different from the documents that your friends include for this section. You must include whatever documents are required to show your complete financial situation. So, depending on your financial situation, that could include your bank statements for the last 4 months. It could include family members' bank statements or letters of financial support. It could include a receipt from your NAIT portal showing you've already paid your tuition, and so on. You can scan all of these documents together into one PDF and upload it to your application. Technically, IRCC wants to see that you have enough money for 1 year's tuition plus $10,000 for living expenses plus additional funds if you have family living with you. However, the amount of money you may have might not be as crucial as showing IRCC your full financial situation. So make sure you include any relevant documents so that IRCC can see that you have enough funds or financial support to continue studying and living in Canada. You'll also have to upload a digital photograph. It's important that you do not scan a picture for this requirement. It must be an actual electronic photo. If you click on the little question mark icon next to this requirement in your document checklist, it will give you the photo requirements. You can take a screenshot or picture of these requirements and give them to the photographer to make sure the picture meets the requirements. The photographer may email you the picture or ask that you save it onto a USB stick. but it has to be the electronic picture that is uploaded to your application. If there is anything about your time in Canada or your studies that you want to explain to IRCC, you can do this with a letter of explanation and upload it to your application. So what are some of the reasons that students choose to write a letter of explanation? Well, it depends on the student. For example, if a student has not been complying with the conditions or rules on their study permit, they may want to address this in a letter of explanation. The rules that study permit holders must follow when in Canada are that they remain enrolled at a school until they finish their studies, they actively pursue the program of studies, and they work only if having proper authorization and do not work more hours than is allowed. Because IRCC can check to see if you've been following these rules when you apply to extend your study permit, if you want, you can write a letter of explanation addressing anything that you think might be a red flag for IRCC. Some students choose to write a letter of explanation if they have changed study programs or have changed schools, and they might want to outline when and why that has happened. Or if you want to give IRCC more information about your financial situation, you are welcome to include additional details in your letter of explanation. What about if you need to apply to extend your kids' study permits or your partner's work permit? Well, the eligibility questionnaire actually makes it really easy. It will ask you if you want to submit an application for a family member. If you answer yes to this question, the system will give you the opportunity to add your family members to your application, and you can all apply to extend together. Adding family to your application will definitely impact the document checklist and the cost of the overall application. Now let's have a look at the IMM 5709 application form. That is the application to change conditions, extend my stay, or remain in Canada as a student. You will find this form at the top of your document checklist in your application. If you try to open the form from the document checklist, you may receive this "Please wait" error message. In this case, you have to right-click on the form, download the form to your computer, and upload it in Adobe Acrobat Reader. You'll also have to make sure that JavaScript is turned on so that the form works properly. Here we see a glimpse as to what this form looks like. Some of the questions require that you type in an answer. Other questions allow you to choose an answer from a drop-down menu. The IMM 5709 form will ask you for your address, phone number, your date of birth. It will ask you when you first entered Canada, how much money you have for your studies, who will pay for your studies. There are questions about your education, employment, and health history, as well as questions about previous IRCC applications. You will want to take some time on this form, going through question by question, ensuring that you are answering honestly for your situation. As you go through the IMM 5709 application form, you can use NAIT's Study Permit Extension Guide found at nait.ca/immigration for tips and tricks on how to complete this form. In addition, IRCC has a study permit extension guide called Guide 5552 that goes through this form question by question. It is very helpful. As such, we encourage you to review these guides and do your best to complete this form on your own. Once you've completed the IMM 5709 form and gathered all the required documents, you can upload each document to the application, pay the necessary fees, and submit the online application. After you've submitted the online application, you can check IRCC's processing times online to see approximately how long it will take to receive an answer. To find this page, you can simply Google search IRCC processing times, and it will come up for you to use. As long as you apply to extend your study permit before it expires, you will have something called maintained status, and you can keep studying and working like normal while you wait for an answer on your extension application, even if your old study permit expires while you're waiting. It is okay. You have maintained status. Your social insurance number will expire along with your study permit. However, if you are on maintained status, you can keep working with an expired social insurance number while you wait for an answer on your study permit extension application. Your Alberta healthcare card will also expire along with your study permit. However, before your card expires, you can phone Alberta Health Services at 780-427-1432 to request a one-time 90-day extension on your Alberta healthcare while you wait for your new study permit. Then, once you receive your new study permit, make sure you look it over. When does it expire? Is there a condition that will allow you to work while studying? You want to make sure everything looks correct on this document. In addition, once you have that new study permit, you can contact Service Canada to update your social insurance number, and you can contact an authorized registry office to update your Alberta healthcare card. You're welcome to re-watch this video or any sections of the video that might be helpful. And if after watching the video and reviewing the available guides, you still have questions, feel free to contact us at nait.ca/help by selecting the immigration category, or you can book an appointment with an advisor in your NAIT portal. In the meantime, thanks for listening about how to apply to extend your study permit, and happy extending!